Hello, I'm Tara Brabazon. I'm the Dean of Graduate Research at Flinders University, and welcome to Vlog 140. And this is a major change of pace from our social justice quartet. So what is Vlog 140? Mornings. This one comes by request from so many people, and it's part of a series or suite of requests I get that are probably the most common variable. And students are asking me about, if you will, productivity tips. So how to read faster, how to write faster, note taking, so these sort of ideas. And of course we've done a few vlogs on this. I think vlog 2 tended to look at habit stacking and looked at how to find 30 minutes in your doctoral day. And we did that recent vlog on time and task orientation. And I know that was incredibly useful. I think I've heard from 15 students who used task and time orientation in 1 month to finish their thesis. Absolutely thrilled. But this is an important intervention, I think, and I'm going to be a bit more robust than usual. I'm being provocative for a reason, because I want to really get inside your routine, inside your patterns, and provoke you to think about it, to be conscious about it, rather than just let your day slide. And we did talk a little bit about habit stacking, and a lot of what I'm talking about today is founded on doing a habit stack first, okay? So that's really important. So I have a habit stack in the morning that I go through. So I get up, I have a cup of coffee, have my vitamins, have a shower, get in my gym gear, do my hair, and sit at my desk. Bang, 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 bang. As you can see, I didn't even have to think about it. That's what I do. So then I sit at my desk and I do work for 2 hours. Now I've done that same routine for 24 years. The only time I've ever missed that routine is when I'm on a long haul flight. So I'm actually on an aeroplane. That's the only time in those 24 years where I haven't done that system. Now I've been asked to talk about mornings quite often. I think the wonderful Andy actually said to me, Tara, could you do a vlog about your mornings? Well, once more, sort of my mornings don't matter terribly much, and trust me, I'm not a role model for anybody. But mornings do matter to me, and there's one more person I want to do a shout out to at this point, the wonderful Ben Chambers, now Dr. Ben Chambers. You might remember Ben. He was with Natalia, hi Natalia, who did our New Year's vlog last year. And that was the Nano 2 take over the vlog. And Ben, who is a very savvy, interesting, very intelligent young man, asked me a key question. He said, how important have the mornings been to your career? And of course, my mornings have determined the success of my career. Without those mornings and the pattern that I have in the morning, I would not have had any success at all. That's how important the mornings are. But what's interesting is I found out that this commitment that I have to mornings and morning patterns is shared in the literature. So for this vlog, I went into the research literature into mornings. And who knew this was a thing? But it so is a thing in leadership literature, in management literature, but I'm also seeing it in health studies and health science as well, and a little bit in work and leisure studies. So it's a very interesting intellectual debate. So let's go there. I do get up at 2 a.m. in the morning. I do get up at 2 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, I do. So I've just got to be honest about that. I used to get up at 3 a.m. in the morning, but when I took this current job, I just wasn't getting enough research work done in the rest of my week, so the nights and the weekends, which I was used to. And because this job sort of takes over everything. So I thought the only way I can stay committed and focused to my research is make sure I've got that extra hour in the morning to really commit to research. So I have a shower, I have a cup of coffee, and I'm down at my desk at 2:20 in the morning, and I write. I don't do anything else but write. I write until 4:20 in the morning. And then I do 10 minutes of weights, 10 minutes of yoga. Then I go to the gym and I actually do 2.5 hours of cardio at the gym. 1 hour I listen to audiobooks, I listen to podcasts, so new ideas, interesting language, open myself up to new ideas. And then the final hour and a half, I learn stuff like the vlogs or my talks. So it's a very intense period that I use intellectually as well. And then I get changed and I'm in my office by 8:10 at the very latest. And then my day starts. And we often laugh in the office, my work day as Dean is what we call the second shift. I've already done the first shift in the morning, this is the second shift, and indeed there is a third and a fourth shift that goes after the working day. So as you can pick up, mornings and this morning routine is absolutely everything to me. My entire career, my success is based on it. So the literature on this is big. And therefore, let's use some of that literature. It has been fascinating for me, so let's do mornings. Who knew this was a thing? So yes, part of this discussion does involve you getting up earlier. But if you can't manage getting up earlier, that's absolutely cool. Part of the tactics that I'm talking about today going to involve using the time that you have with greater efficiency. So either you get up earlier and you do this, or you look at the time you have available and you use it better. Either of those strategies will work today. So also this vlog offers a critique of that work and life balance thing again, surprise, surprise, because obviously getting up earlier seems the exact opposite of the work and life balance. And maybe it is. But you know what? This period of intensity creates focus, motivation, energy, inspiration, and let me show you how. But all of this starts with you, and all of this starts with some honesty. So tomorrow morning, yes, tomorrow morning, I want you to have a piece of paper and log and track how you use your morning. So no judgment, but actually have a sense of, and write down when you get up and what you do in that key bit of the day. So you've got a ritual, a current ritual, and I want you to write that down and be conscious of it. So what a ritual is it's deliberate, it's habitual, it's also with consciousness. So I want you to log that ritual for me. What is your relationship with your alarm? What is your relationship with your snooze button? Do you look at your emails in the morning? What are you doing with your phone in the morning? Are you doing this the whole morning, right? That's important. Are you randomly grabbing food? What's your relationship with food? Are you worried about stuff? Are you thinking about your commute while you're at home? So think about if and how you have ritualized unhelpful behaviors. So think about if you've set up a reactive day. Most of us have. If you set up a reactive day, you're simply responding to other people's stuff in the morning. So what I want to do now is create a productive day, or at least for 30 minutes or an hour or 2 hours every morning, you are the boss of you. You run you. Let's do this. So I've structured this vlog with 10 quick tips, another Tara quick 10 tips to intervene and to transform. And as I said, some of this is going to be provocative and very stroppy. I'm going to get inside you and make some judgments here. You can disagree with it and be offended, and that's great, but I'm doing it to provoke you to change if you want to change. So 1, you must have a reason or a purpose to get up earlier. Firstly, you've got to have a reason to leave your beautiful, fabulous, warm bed and get moving. So if you want to change your mornings, if you want to improve your mornings, you've got to have a purpose. And that purpose at its best is result or goals oriented. So if you want to wake up in the morning to enhance world peace, then you'll stay in bed like John and Yoko. Bless. But if you have a purpose, so I'm going to get up and I'm going to write 2 pages. I'm going to get up and I'm going to write 500 words, and then I'm going to have breakfast, get changed, take the kids to school. But I'm going to write 2 pages. I'm going to get up, I'm going to Write those 2 pages. That's great. Now, at its best, these sort of motivations to get up in the morning are multiple. So yes, they improve your thesis, they intellectually intrigue you, so it creates curiosity, but you also physically feel a lot better. You're up, you're producing work, you're not living in regret or worry because you're actually getting up and doing something. So it has multiple motivations. But just make sure that your motivation is clear. Now, in the literature, sadly, a lot of these motivations are referred to as vision. So you are visualizing what your mornings are like. That's all a bit hippie for me, so I apologise for that. But if visualisation helps you, you knock yourself out. But for me, I use a different word, and this word is important to me, and that is focus. Focus is everything. Focus is important. So make your focus disciplined, purposeful, and goal-focused. This is important. If you wake up overwhelmed, you're going to stay in bed with procrastination. Get up, do something differently. 1, 2. Focus on the important, not the urgent. This is one of my maxims in life. Focus on the important, not the urgent. We all have hundreds of jobs to do every single day. This is a job of urgency. So my to-do list is truly frightening, absolutely frightening. But that to-do list has absolutely nothing to do with my mornings. They're completely separate. My mornings are about a goal or a result. I'm achieving something in my mornings in my 2 hours, but if you've got 30 minutes, whatever, I'm trying to focus on the important and not the urgent. So this is not about emails. In fact, it is the exact opposite of emails. Think about it. What is the most difficult task you have in your PhD, in your research life? Is it writing or is it reading? Well, what I'd suggest is use those 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours that you claim back in the morning for that incredibly important task. So use the 30 minutes, use the hour to write, or use the 30 minutes or 1 hour to read, one or the other, I would argue. And then you need to block away all other activities. So have nothing to do with social media in the morning. You are not getting up out of bed to use Facebook. Sort yourself out. And for this short and precious time in the morning, give it everything. So write with passion and urgency. So I want energy, I want clarity, I want focus. So if you set yourself up well each day, then you've configured a mindset or a context for success and for productivity in the rest of your day. So let me give you an example of how this focus and this clarity operates in a doctoral program. And this test may change your life just a little bit. So what I want you to do for me, we're going to do an experiment right now. What I want you to do is look away from the screen for a moment. So just look away from the screen for 5 seconds, and when I say go, I want you to count the number of yellow things that you see. So look away now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Look back for me. Great. How many yellow things did you see? Brilliant, great. How many blue things did you see? And that's what focus is, team. You don't know and you don't remember what you don't focus on. Now consider the premise that what you're focusing on every day in your doctoral program is on the wrong thing. So you're focusing all your attention on the yellow and not the blue. And therefore you're not even noticing what's important. Let me show you how this works. I would argue that excuses operate in a doctoral program like those yellow objects. So students focus on all the yellow objects, all the reasons they can't do a PhD. Excuses, nonsense, let's blame supervisors, let's blame your parents, let's blame the university. It's always this stuff out there. They're the yellow objects. This is why I can't do the PhD. Rather than focusing on the blue, the reasons why you can do the PhD and how you do it. Now, as many of you know, I focus on weekly meetings with our students. I see my students weekly. But every now and again, and it's only happened twice, Students have used those weekly meetings just every week to summon complaints and grumble bums and excuses. Now, I can think of one case where I put up with a student using the meetings, the weekly meetings, in this way for an entire year. So every time I would see her, out would come the excuses. Now, I found that personally incredibly depressing, and can I say also personally incredibly boring. I didn't express either of those emotions. My job is to be a supervisor and try and guide and provide alternatives. But can I say this was not a great use of my time, and it certainly wasn't a good use of the student's time. So I ended up stating with this student, you know what? We're going to stop having weekly meetings. You are going to give me a weekly draft. I'm going to spend 20 hours on that draft each week. I'm going to return it to you with full track changes and 5 key areas for you to address. That's what we're handling, because all you're using in these meetings, all you're doing is you're using the meetings to have excuses and complain, and I need to stop that. So I changed the focus from the yellow, the excuses, to the blue, the thesis. And can I say that student finished? Similarly, I was supervising a lazy student, and it's very rare for me to use that word. I've probably never used it in the vlog series before, but this student was lazy. And look, he was having a great time. He was enrolled in a PhD program, and he was on holiday, and he was playing music, and he was having an absolutely tremendous time. And he once said to me in our weekly meetings that he really enjoyed the chat during our weekly meetings because it was the only time he worked on his thesis in an entire week. I always remember the shock. I can see sort of my voice sort of doing a crazy thing in response to it, because it was the craziest moment of a meeting. So I ended up doing a full intervention in that case. I'd put up with this nonsense for 2 years, right? And I tried to, all the options we've talked about, how to get him focused on doing his thesis, even an hour a day, and he just couldn't be bothered. So then I did an intervention, and it involved a morning ritual. I gave him 6 weeks to finish his thesis. And in those 6 weeks, he had to get up and give me 90 uninterrupted minutes every single morning before his kids even woke up. And I used the full guilt, blame and shame at my disposal, because I said the truth. You are aware the Australian taxpayer has subsidised your PhD to the tune of about $10,000, which was at that time $10,000 of fees and fee offset a semester. Put $10,000 in the middle of the table. That's what the Australian taxpayer has invested in you, and you can't even bother getting up in the morning. Worked pretty well. And I made the clear point that you need to work without me. You know, you need to be a grown-up. The idea, the only time you work on your thesis is when I'm working with you, and I'd worked harder on his thesis than he had. So I just said, look, time to grow up, mate. You got to do this. And you know what? That student got through by simply moving in a pretty ruthless fashion his focus from the yellow to the blue. So 4, don't hit the snooze button. Now, I'm very lucky. I don't need an alarm. So I don't know why it is. It's probably, all my sleep researchers out there can probably tell me why, but when I want to get up at a particular time, I've always been able to. So I've never needed an alarm. But if you need an alarm, that's absolutely cool. But use the alarm properly. Put it across the way from your bed. So you have to get out of bed to turn the alarm off. Because what happens if you hit the snooze button? What does hitting the snooze button mean? What it means is, I don't have the discipline to get out of bed. It means I don't have the discipline to create an hour of peace and quiet in my life. I don't have the discipline to do productive work and finish my thesis. That's what hitting the snooze button means. There's a reason you hit the snooze button, and that reason is denial. This hour of work that you're going to construct in your mornings is not just about tasks. It's about motivation. It's about becoming the person that you know you can be. So if you will, it's moving from doing to becoming. That's how important the mornings are. Always remember that the hardest part about getting up an hour earlier in the morning is the first 5 minutes, just like the hardest part of going for a walk in the morning is always that first few steps out of the front door and to the end of your driveway. This is not about doing more. This is about becoming more, getting up, habit stacking, and allowing that momentum to deliver you to a writing success. Fabulous. And there's one way to do this that really guarantees success, and this is number 5. Start your mornings with a plan the night before. This changed my life. You see, great mornings start with 5 minutes of preparation the night before. Let me show you. So before I go to bed each night, I select one task, one task that I'm going to do the next morning. And what I do is I have the Word document up that I'm going to work on, and the screen is right on the point where I'm going to put the screen up, and that's what I'm going to work on. So there's not like a second of hesitation. It's like, right, what am I doing? I'm doing that. I'm writing that. Your time starts now. Off I go. Boom. Easy. No delay, no excuses, no weirdness, no Facebook. I'm writing that paragraph. Thanks for playing. So as you can see, I don't have a to-do list in the morning. I have one job. You have one job. I give myself one job, and therefore you do that one job until that time that you've allowed in the morning has finished. Productivity is not an accident. It's not simply left to chance. Productivity is a privilege. It's the result of making decisions. Have a simple plan, a simple strategy, then hello, do it. 6, declutter everything, including your mind. The word focus, another way to describe focus is to declutter your mind. And I'm very well aware there's a very interesting literature, a bit hippie for me, but the decluttering literature I think is quite interesting. But focus is also configured via your environment. So keep your office, if you've got one, or your home workspace as clear as you can. Only put on your desk the essentials that you require. So for me in the morning, I actually don't have an office desk. I have a table. I don't even want drawers, right? I have a table, and all that's on my table is a computer and a coffee cup. Nothing else. Everything is clear. So it is a pretty good idea to purge that work surface, and that cleanliness, I think, does some good things for your focus. Small things add stress, so unmade beds, laundry, messy kitchen, stuff everywhere, trash. And by the way, when I'm talking about decluttering, I'm obviously meaning digital and sonic decluttering as well. So no phone, team, no phone. We're really disconnecting you from that for this finite period. Remember, you're not a trained seal responding to buzzing or vibration. Or what was the phone that interrupted a meeting I was in yesterday? What was the ringtone? Oh yes, that was fantastic. Yeah, so we're in a meeting yesterday and up comes Kisses, I was made for loving you. Fantastic. So isn't that something that's really buoyant and helpful to the culture? So yeah, guys, don't behave like a performing seal. Don't respond to your phone. Put your phone well away from your morning ritual. You need silence. No social media, just have the Word document open and off you go. No internet, boom. 7, transform your moment of waking. Now I know when many people hear an alarm, they sort of respond in a visceral fashion, like, no. That's your waking moment, so isn't that positive and buoyant, yeah? But that language, or lack thereof, is part of what's actually causing your problem. So let's work on that first minute if we can and re-language it. And I have a phrase that the moment I wake up, it's the first thing in my mind every morning. I suppose it must have started as a conscious thought, but now it's just what I think about. So I wake up and my first thought is, let's do this. And I'm out of bed. Let's do this. Great. So instead of, oh no, or isn't it a dreadful day, change the ritual of that moment of waking up. Have the phrase that you use that gets you up, right? That's incredibly important. Let's do this. Let's do this. Then I physically just get out of bed, stretch up, and I'm on my way and I do my habit stack. And we need to remember, I think, all the great cliches we have in the morning. And when I was preparing this, I suddenly realised this, because one of the great cliches we have about the morning is, of course, rise and shine. Rise and shine. How great is that? So what am I doing? I'm rising and I'm shining. Fantastic. I'm not sinking and dying. Great. So that's the ritual, the intervention that you're going to create in the morning. You need to be conscious. Think about that minute after you wake up and how you're going to language it and how your body is going to move. Remember your vision. Remember your purpose. Who are you? What are you trying to achieve here? What's important to you? These are the big thoughts you have in that first minute. And all that positivity will not get done if you stay in bed. Remember, it's a privilege to be able to get out of bed and achieve your goals. There are physical advantages to this process too. I was reading Linda Westwood and a lot of colleagues in health studies and health sciences, and of course a lot of healthfulness and healthful behaviours come from an early morning start and early morning movement. So it is important for you. 8, remember that you're not working longer hours, you're working smarter hours. The reason that you're working in the morning is not just to add hours to your day, but what you're adding is productivity, intensity, and focus. No email, no phone, silence. No excuses. No excuses. You are going to achieve, therefore, more in that 30 minutes or hour or 2 hours than you will probably in the rest of your day. I certainly do. I achieve more in that 2 hours than I do in the following 20. That's how important intensity and focus is. Now, Carl Newport described this as deep work. I really recommend this great book, Deep Work. And he's a professor of computer science, a wonderful human being, what a great researcher. And he argues that, quote, distraction-free concentration pushes your cognitive capacities to their limits, end of quote. So this is enabled through an established routine. So you are in control of your time and your tasks, so push yourself. Bring it. Bring it. 9, transcend mediocrity. Told you we were going to get stroppy. So many of us work so hard to fit in with the crowd, don't we? We don't want to be too visible or too different or too defiant. But you know what? Compliance is founded on conformity. Excellence is based on transcendence. If you want the same results, not finishing your thesis, then keep on complaining, keep on making those excuses, and you stay in bed. But a certain point of your life, and why not make it now? Stop settling for mediocrity. Mediocrity is created through living past decisions in your present. The strength of reorganizing your mornings is that you're trying something new. You're trying to create a new pathway rather than hanging about with other people, living conventional lives, living compliance, complaining, being satisfied with the mediocre. You have the privilege of doing a PhD. Don't be mediocre. Be transcendent. Final one. Write. Just write. If you take 30 minutes or 60 minutes or 2 hours to write, then something remarkable is going to happen to you. You're going to finish writing your thesis really quickly. The most successful writers, and this is the writing literature, the most successful writers write in the morning. And they're successful team because they show up. I get really bored with all these people go, oh look, I just am waiting for inspiration. I'm just waiting for the muse to arrive. Team, sit on your clacker and write. No inspiration, no muse. The successful writers show up. What do the successful writers do? They show up. They front up in the morning, they sit at their keyboard and they write. Boom. That's how you're successful. And the key when you use your morning routine to write, just write, I recommend that you absolutely have silence around you. That's important. But also you don't edit. This is an important moment. I know a lot of you, we talk about this. I need you to get up in the morning and I need you to write full throttle, deep work, full throttle. Don't edit what you're doing. Edit later, edit in the afternoon, edit at night. Write, just write. And write until the clock signals the end of your session. Don't judge it, don't evaluate it, don't edit it, just write. Now, that's my 10. And probably what undergirds all of them is silence. The capacity to be alone with yourself for 30 minutes and use that silence to summon your best self. You're silencing the excuses, you're silencing the complaints, you're silencing the blame of other people, of institutions, of universities, of organisations, and you're sitting and you're focusing with silence. So make the time, make the mornings count. Now, some of you may know I'm a bit obsessed by Henry David Thoreau, and I read Walden at least twice a year. I do try and read it actually on Christmas Eve, and I tend to read it on Christmas Eve this year after this terrible year. But that book doesn't change, but I change every time that I read it. And what that book teaches me, I think, is about understanding the silence and settling and sitting in your environment and seeing what's there rather than what you want to be there. And in Walden, Thoreau states, quote, "Things do not change. We change. Things do not change. We change." Wow. So if you want things to change, then you have to change. And one change is getting up in the morning and with consciousness and reflexivity, creating a different way of thinking about work, a different way of thinking about life, and a different way of thinking about your PhD. I wish you love, light, and peace. Tia.